So trust is a very implicit part of who we are as an organization.
To do the right thing and almost think like a CEO.
What it means to me is that every time there's a decision to be made, I don't have to wait for someone else to necessarily be able to do it. If there's something in front of me, I feel empowered that I can actually take that decision. And that translates to literally everything you do.
Open salaries being that everybody knows everybody else's salary, the kind of stocks or units you'd basically be given. You would also have visibility into how we are doing financially, what is our revenue, where our investments are going, what our growth is actually looking like, what our profits are. Being able to feed back into what we as a group should be able to decide that our annual hikes be like.
No customer exploitation and no people exploitation were the two values that attracted me to Sahaj.
Is that everyone is treated fairly. This means customers are treated fairly by us not trying to exploit them by staying longer at an engagement than we need to. If we try to be indisposable to a customer, they're trapped and locked in. We try to discourage that by having shorter engagements and having meaningful impact in the engagements that we have. What we are experts in is solving hard problems. And a lot of hard problems in the industry right now are in building complex platforms and handling huge amount of data.
And we usually are able to do this because of our ability to think about sort of the first principles and break a problem down and actually solve it using the appropriate tool set.
Over the years, we have identified tools and platforms that are kind of common across similar kind of problems, and we have packaged them into what we call accelerators that can help jumpstart a solution for a customer.
So most of the clients we work with have are on sort of a spectrum as we look at it. So either they have the data and they're trying to understand how do you actually gain insights from it and sort of make their business better, or they have a data collection problem.
But to be able to productionize something from a data science point of view and take it to production, run it at scale, is a problem that not many are able to solve. And I think that's what we excel at.
We kind of execute software engineering consulting projects the way product companies build their products, right? And so what does that mean? We have a core focus on an engineer-centric team. Okay, this is very different. You don't have a program manager, you don't have a product manager, you don't have QAs, you just have engineers. And why is that important is because typically in consulting companies or in product companies, the engineers are separated from the customer, right? And that makes a huge difference because engineers can spot opportunities to eliminate waste and to solve problems which others cannot because they just have a different set of skills.
Every individual here is a solution consultant, and that means taking everything right from the problem statement to what it means to have something running in production. Right? You understand all the benefits at every level.
Here you see a complete vertical slice of the problem.
From people who are potential Sahajivs, right, who would eventually end up joining Sahaj. I think a lot of value is in a similar diversity of the thought process, right? You're constantly working across different domains and areas. So you're learning from different ways of actually being able to do these things.
The exposure to a customer that a product company gives you, but you have that focus on software engineering, which is unique to the way we do software. So I think those two combinations can be a killer combination to kind of build a foundation for a career.
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent question. I think some of the problems that we really look forward to are about either where the volume of data is quite large or the scale of the system by itself that you have to basically solve as a business problem is huge, right? And while we are not tied to certain domains, we certainly call ourselves domain agnostic in some sense, right? I think we believe that our customers already know their domain well enough, and I don't think we are trying to be better than our customers in the domain areas. What we do bring is the technical expertise. We sort of work with them to understand what is their vision, what the vision is in that particular domain.
So as technologists, right, like we understand the technological space quite well, and you sort of know what works well in what circumstances, right? The part that you need to sort of stitch together is working closely with people on the business side, trying to understand what is their current problem at hand and then really refining it in a way such that you can deliver value quickly.
We work with our clients as a partner, not as a vendor. You don't tell me what to do. You tell us what we want to solve, right? So one analogy somebody told me, partnership is about when I'm sitting next to you, not against you on a table, right? So I'm with you, next to you, and solving the problem for your customers.
I look at it this way: we bring the technology expertise and the expertise to solve problems. Our clients tend to bring the domain knowledge and information from their side, and our ability to marry our expertise with theirs and to be able to solve a problem together is what differentiates us from most of the competition.
At heart, if you start to look at how we would approach solving any problems in any domain, they can be reduced to the fundamentals that are typically almost the same everywhere. So what really is the challenge always is to get used to the vocabulary of a particular domain, to get used to the people context of a domain, to get used to the business context of a domain. Obviously those are very unique, they are very different, but our challenge and our job is really to cut through all of the incidental knowledge about those systems and see how we can go to the heart of a particular problem and see how we can apply ourselves.
Our strength lies in technology, and yet I believe at some level we are tech agnostic. And what that really means is that we are not tied to a certain technology because we believe that there is an inherent advantage in using certain type of technologies to solve certain kind of problems.
I think it depends on the use case again. There are different things that drive this. So depending upon if a client has an existing space where they're tied to certain technologies, then you might actually consider some of those as essential, right? Because at the end of the day, you need someone to support this on their own. Now, if there's no such constraints or if you're sort of on an open space, you would look at what's the best fit for the particular problem statement.
Pretty dynamic the entire day, while things are set for certain things like stand-up times, etc., because there's certain things that need cadence.
There will be a concept of sprint and then regular showcases to show what's going on the ground.
Speaking to the customer, making sure you're talking to your teammates, actually collaborating with them. Some conversations with the customer, trying to understand the problem, make sure we're solving the right problem, and then sort of getting that feedback when you build something. So when we get together, probably in the evenings, we will have conversations here about technology, about other things, and there's a little bit of socializing almost every evening as well, which we think is a core part of what we do.
Whether it is somebody as a fresher or whether it's somebody with 40 years of experience, and we have both from 0 to 40 years of experience as people, right? Everybody is a solution consultant. It is nothing to do with your title. It has to do with your drive to solve the problem.
One of the reasons that we've actually stuck with like a single title for everybody is because of the recognition that when you start boxing people with specific titles and roles, they start to draw boundaries around what they can do and cannot do.
We will all wear different hats based on the problem at hand, right? There are moments when I would be typically doing the work of a sort of business analyst or a sort of quality analyst or a developer. And so there's different hats that I would wear throughout the day.
Formally, I've been able to, lead Bangalore office in past, and that was a purely operational role. It required, given the way the organization is, right, it's less about managing the office, but it's about having a connect with people. Other challenges which are very orthogonal from a technologist point of view that I was able to learn while doing that particular role.
I joined Sahaj a year ago as a solutions consultant, hoping to solve hard problems and deliver awesome solutions to our customers. Sahaj's core values and the work we do got me to talk a lot more about Sahaj amongst my professional network, and a lot of conversations started flowing naturally in a demand and supply space. And today I'm able to attract potential Sahajivis, potential the folks who could join us, and potential customers. I've now started contributing to generating demand for our business here in the UK, which really excites me.
I think there has been a tremendous amount of individual growth. A lot of that was not apparent to me for a long period of time. The opportunity to interact with people, customers, and people who are potential candidates, people who are potential clients, constantly being able to think holistically from an organization.
I think Sahaj is a very interesting place for people who want to explore themselves and get to understand who they want to be. In most organizations, there are a set of paths and you're asked to choose between them. Now that works if you happen to fit neatly into that box. But if you don't, then you have a constant struggle of trying to compromise and trying to figure out where you want to fit in. At Sahaj, there are no set paths, which can be daunting to a lot of people because when there is no paved path, you don't know which one you want to walk. But if you're someone who likes to explore themselves, it's a very, very interesting opportunity because you actually get to at every point make that decision of how do I want to grow.
You get a lot of liberty and ownership, so that's something very crucial to shape up or understand advanced concepts around what is involved to kind of deliver effective solution and what are the different dimensions of the problem space, like not just the technology, how would a marketing or time to market would play, what is like how basically the business model behind the product, right? So you get visibility around that, which is kind of narrow in many other settings. I would say that's a huge plus.
Sahaj has given me the unique opportunity to actually marry my two current passions, DevOps and data. So I've been very lucky to get into some really interesting DataOps and MLOps projects. And these projects have helped make the lives of like data scientists, data analysts, data engineers, or even the stakeholders. What used to take like hours or like sometimes even days, those times have actually come down to minutes.
It's a financial product that was used by telco providers or telecom service providers to run a financial platform on the back of telecom network itself. And that had a huge scale at the back of it. There was a requirement or the strict needs of how financial products actually operate because there is money involved. And it was a transition from something that was a monolith to a microservices architecture. And it was a huge amount of learning because I think the way we solved the problem was by building some fundamental technical blocks that did not exist.
We would try to make inferences about when a product has actually come in, when have we actually done any operations on it, right? So if there's a product, you need to apply some labels. It would automatically detect it using a neural network and then effectively tell you what is the cycle time for every person who's working on the line, right? Effectively that you can then use to identify for the plant how effectively is the rate at which you are delivering products.
It's more on a scaling domain. It's in a connected vehicle areas where the lots of data is collected from the vehicles, and so once the data so the work which was involved in collecting those data and then delivering that data in a more meaningful way to the customers, to the users on their mobile phones.
I think we are trying to build an equivalent of the digital platforms out on the out-of-home space, right? Out-of-home being billboards and everything else that you see on the street as advertising.
Because of the transparent culture that we have, a lot of other organizations I've seen people rely and build that litmus test on how is organization doing based on what people tell them, what they hear. But because of the way that the things are transparent as Sahaj, a lot of that is just in front of you, right? Not only you are able to get a sense of how we are doing as an organization constantly, you're able to participate in that growth, you're able to visualize that growth on the back of numbers, and a lot of times you have a direct influence on some of those things, right? And I think you can make the choice.
Pandemic became big a couple of years ago. We were supposed to do our annual hikes, and at that time we were asked, what do you think we should do? There is a chance that there might be a lockdown and the impact on the business can be X, Y, and Z. Now we have a choice. as an organization, we can either say we want to take our annual hikes, something that all of us have been waiting for a long period of time. We had almost unanimously voted for not taking the hike then and there. We've never had any challenges. We've never missed payroll even once. To not be worried at any given point of time during that entire process, we constantly talked about how much money we had in the bank, what was going on with our different clients. And then eventually we decided, hey, 4 to 5 months in, everything's okay, we should probably go ahead with the hikes. So no, we were never worried about it. I feel quite secure. I have a family back home as well. None of them are ever worried about me working here. And I don't think you, if you're watching this, I don't think you should be worried about it either.